This is Red All Over's away-end show, but it's not a normal away-end show. It's a special away-end show. There have been 19 away-end shows this season, the last 7 of which have included a question from Little Alan Andy, also known as George, and Isaac Webster, also known as the Little Scamps. They asked the question of the last 7 clubs. They asked, why don't you support a good team like Manchester City, Liverpool, or best of all, Barnsley? Some thought it was a good question, some thought it was quite brutal. But here are the clips of all those. So I've got George from Wycombe, Jake from Lincoln, Ed from Burton, Steve from Charlton, Andy from Portsmouth, Tim from Blackpool, and Chris and Colin from Bolton Wanderers. But that's not all. I've also added a home element to it. So if you like, it's a home and away end special. Don't start singing the theme tune to Home and Away. I beg you. So we've also got Craig, Tracy, Alan, George, Josh, Isaac, me, Tom, and Joe. Why do you support your club? Why don't you support a good club like Manchester City, Liverpool, or even Barnsley? Here's what everyone said. Enjoy the show. Roll the titles.
Why don't you support a good team like Man City or Liverpool, or best of them all, Barnsley?
I'll start off with the Barnsley excuse. That's because I'm 200 miles away. It'd be a bit tricky to get up there every week. Most people, they answer this question, I assume, by sort of saying, "Oh, your dad got them into it," or "You support your dad's team." My dad tried to get me into supporting Man United at a young age, and we went up there a few times every year. But once I sort of started going down to Wycombe games, and you sort of feel part of a community, you feel like you've got a part to play in the atmosphere. I was hooked from then on. So whilst I was raised a Man United fan, and not the armchair supporters, we went up there a few times a year. Um, I was bored one weekend, went down to Wycombe, and just, even though the football was crap back then, I fell in love with it completely.
Oh, well, there's the question. Well, my dad is a Man United fan, so it would have been the easy option to go and be a Man United fan like my dad. But obviously, I'm born in Lincoln, so you have to support the team from where you're born. So I donned the red and white. You got to do it, haven't you? You got to support your local team and the team where you're from, or else what's the whole point? Because it's all just tribalism, really, isn't it? It's all my area is better than yours, and it's yeah. I think being born in Lincoln, being born next to the prison as well. Don't know if that was an omen or what, but yeah, it's local team. And Barnsley aren't a big club anyway. Barnsley aren't a big club.
Oh, I don't know about that. What were your dad born near Manchester or in Manchester or anything like that?
No, he was born in he was born in he was born in Sleaford, so he's a typical Man United fan. So he was born nowhere near Manchester.
Why did he
And
support Man? Do you know why he supported Man United?
yeah, George Best would be the reason. He's 62 or 63. He
Oh, he's
said
not that old then.
yeah. He said he watched George Best on the telly and fell in love with him. I didn't know that my dad could feel that way about another man, but yeah, he was a big fan of George Best.
What's your dad's name, Jake?
Paul.
Paul. You're a wrong un.
Yeah, I'm gonna clip that up and send it to him.
It's a brutal question, this, isn't it? It's basically asking, why do you make bad decisions? Why have you not made life easy? Why have you not made life easy to yourself? Why have you not had more fun with your football? The basic answer to this is I don't have a connection to those places. I'm not from Liverpool. I'm not from Manchester. I'm not from Barnsley.
It doesn't stop Manchester United
No,
fans.
no, it doesn't. But that's something I feel quite strongly about. I'm originally born in the town of Burton. I live close by. Burton is the closest professional team for me. It's always somewhere I can easily get to living in Staffordshire for home games. And I guess I kind of appreciate being valued a lot more there. I know that they value me being there because we are lower in numbers. We take a couple of hundred away. On some games, we might take a 200. If it's a closer away game, we'll have our average game about 2,000-3,000 at the moment. But I feel like if I'd gone with one of these other clubs, I'd just be a customer number to them. It can't be like you'd be very sporadically going to games, if at all. Chances are I might not even have ever gone to the Etihad or Anfield or the Emirates or one of these, and I'd support one of these big clubs and not really be. I don't think I'd be where I am now if I picked one of these big clubs, because being with Burton has developed a massive love for all levels of the game. It's something I've got so involved with. Started building a career around football, being able to talk about it. It's a huge honor to be able to do that. And if I just followed the Premier League and been only Premier League focused, I really don't think I would be working in football right now or enjoying what I do right now. So yeah, that maybe there are a couple of occasions I look at it and think it would be quite fun to enjoy to see a team in Europe and in the Champions League and in the Premier League, but get me out on those terraces any single time. Get me out at actual games. It's so much better than watching at home. I fully believe that.
Costs too much, Ed. Costs miles too much. I think it's your town and your club, and I understand that utterly and completely because I feel exactly the same way. So, you know, I noticed you mentioned Manchester United, Manchester City, and Liverpool. You didn't mention Barnsley. I don't understand what. I know you live in Burton, but you know you could have made the trip up the motorway to Barnsley.
It's a bit further than you think, actually. It is a bit of a trip. I do like Oakwell's ground though. It's a classic one.
It's a good question. I don't support Barnsley because I've never been to Barnsley. Though,
you've no idea what you're missing.
I don't hear it's lovely, but I don't hear it's not lovely. I'm sure it's fine. I don't support a team like. It's shameful. I did used to support Man United. This is not to my credit. As a teenager, I realised that was as a kid I did, and as a teenager I realised that was shameful behaviour as a southerner. So I stopped that. My family are actually from north of the river, so they're all Arsenal and Tottenham. So I decided to rebel, and I went for Charlton. That was kind of the time around when we first got promoted into the Premier League. So whenever that was 98, 9 kind of time. So yeah, I'm not a local lad, so I'm one of about 3 Charlton fans who weren't born within a 10-minute walk of the ground, probably, which makes me, I think, maybe like the world's least successful glory hunter. But that went kind of wrong.
So let me get this right. You've not got a deep-seated whole life love for Charlton Athletic. You did it to spite your family. Is that right?
Basically, to spite my old man, yeah, because I didn't want to support Arsenal.
I mean, why don't I support Barnsley? I do feel if I turned up in the Barnsley home end with the accent I'm currently speaking to you with, I'd probably get found out as an imposter pretty quickly. I don't know what your attitude is towards imposters in the home end, but pretty welcoming.
Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I did used to have a soft spot for Barnsley. Was it 98 when you were in the Premier League? That 98 season? Yeah. So that was the first sticker album I ever had, first Premier League sticker album, whoever did it in those days. So I did have a soft spot at Barnsley at the time.
Did you get a sticker album just because we went into the Premier League?
Naturally, of course.
That's all right. I don't mind whether you. I was just going to say, I don't care if you lie. You can say
why would you think I was lying? Absolutely not.
Exactly.
No. So in terms of Barnsley, I mean, it's one of those teams that I had a soft spot back for when I was younger. I think I'd probably stand out a little bit. Also, it's a hell of a commute to home games. From where I live in Oxford, so I do 2.5 hours down to Pompey and back every home game. Well, 2 hours down to Pompey and back. Away games are actually easier for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, Barnsley, I think it might be going from the sublime to the ridiculous in terms of commutes. In terms of why I don't support a better team on paper, it's a cheeky question, but it's a fair question. I mean, you just don't get the ups and downs, do you? I mean, firstly, Portsmouth's a one-club city, so it's not like we're in Manchester where you've got Man City, Man United. Obviously, we were up there watching Bolton this weekend, and I couldn't get used to how many different football shirts there were in the city centre on Saturday and Sunday. It was very odd. So yeah, one club city. I was brought up on the Isle of Wight, which is just next to Portsmouth. Yeah. And I mean, you look at the roller coaster of a ride since 1999 through to now, from winning Div 1 in, what was it, 2002 or 2003, up to the Premier League, and then a fairly well documented, should we call it a fall from grace? I think it might be a bit more of a fall, more of a face plant, and then repeatedly smashing your head on the floor while, having people take all the money out of your pockets and then try and, make you go out of business. So that was interesting. With some of the FA Cup was in there somewhere as well, and then this slow.
Yeah, because you got there, didn't you? We that same year we lost out in the semi-finals at Wembley against Cardiff. So
was that the year you beat Liverpool in the?
Yeah.
It was that year. Yeah,
beat Chelsea, Liverpool, and then Chelsea, and lost sadly at Wembley to Cardiff. Or we could have been playing you.
It could have been so different, couldn't it? Yeah, against us. I'm guessing you might have fancied your chances. I think, to be fair,
we'd have whacked you 5-0 if we'd have got through. There's no two ways about
it. Naturally. But Cardiff messed it up. Yeah. Don't say anything disparaging about the Welsh with your next sentence, please, Andy. I'm half Welsh, and I'll be very.
I wouldn't. No, we've got some Barnsley fans that live in Swansea. As you know, Steve Wright lives in Swansea. I wouldn't rubbish Swansea. Apart from the style, Swansea style of play is slow. So, I've mentioned that a few times, but I've not got any particularly great love for Cardiff or against Cardiff. I don't mind. Okay. Don't mind Wrexham either. Quite like Wrexham, but.
South Wales, beautiful. I recommend it. Yeah. My family were from that area in the valleys in Aberdare and used to go down to Mumbles every year down Swansea Bay. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely love it down there. It's a beautiful part of the world. So yeah, nothing bad to say about Cardiff.
No. I go on holiday regularly to Wales. Usually the top. I've been down to Tenby, down the bottom, but it's usually to either Aberdare on the Limb Peninsula or across to Anglesey. Love Anglesey. Spend a lot of time.
We went to Tenby when I was young. Actually, going a little bit off topic here, I guess. Probably not your listeners here to talk about the to listen to the.
Oh, I don't care.
Us claiming that going to Tenby. Is it called the Island? Is that little island next to Tenby? We went there and got stuck there in a tropical storm, and it was all very exciting as a child. But yeah, bit off topic. Do you want to ask me more? I've answered your question, but I don't even know why I've answered that or not.
Yeah, you've answered it well enough. I've had enough anyway.
Well, I did support Liverpool because I was.
Can I just say it again, Tim? Ian, you're a wrong one. Right, keep going again. I've sorted it out for you, Tim.
I did support Liverpool. So when I watched Kenny Dalglish play when he first signed and whatever, and I saw him win a couple of leagues. But there's nothing can beat supporting your hometown club. There's something incredibly special about it. And from the first time I went, when I was. What was I then? 11. I think I might have just started. Yeah, I just started in the first year at secondary school. So that was my first game. Second year secondary school, I started going with all my mates. And I really, really enjoyed it. And to be honest, Blackpool, we had Alan Ball in about 1980-81, and we dropped right. We had to apply for re-election in 1982-83, and so it was a really bad time to start supporting Blackpool, I'll tell you. So it wasn't for the glory. I think we were down to sub 2,000 crowds at one point, but I was hooked. And once it's in your DNA, that's it, isn't it? It's stuck with you for life. And so I wouldn't change a thing. It's my team. You can probably see behind me, I've got that's a shirt from the 2007 playoff final. I'm not allowed any memorabilia at home. It has to be all be at work. And the football stadiums. The football stadiums, when I come to the games, I park my car here and at my office and just walk down. So I'm literally like 500 yards away from the ground where I work. So, Blackpool through and through. I don't even watch. If Liverpool I'm telling you, I wouldn't even watch them if you paid me. I don't really watch Premier League. I'm all about live football. Even when we stopped going during the boycott years, we went to Germany and watched football, and we went to watch some of the other local sides just to get a football fix, really. So yeah, that's me.
You can't do better than support your own club. Can't do better than that.
And as we always say in our podcast, we have a Ballon d'Or winner, which not many teams in the football league can say that they have. We participated in the best FA Cup final ever. So the 1953 Cup final when Stanley Matthews tore Bolton apart in the last 20 minutes, and Stan Mortensen got the only ever hat-trick in the FA Cup final.
That's right, yeah. The year before I was born.
Well,
long ago, Tim. I'm surprised you remember.
It was before my time, but my number plate is on my car is TF, which is my initials, 53 CUP. So that's my, and it's got. I think the 53 Cup final is a special place in most football fans' hearts, but most certainly Blackpool. It's like stamped on the heart, and it was Stanley Matthews who was the first ever Ballon d'Or winner. So there's quite a few clubs in the Premier League who can't say that they've got one of them.
No, a fabulous player as well. An absolutely fabulous player. I mean, he played till he were about 97, I think.
Well, he stopped playing for us when I think he was either 47 or 48, and then he went back to Stoke, and he played for them for a couple of years, got them promoted back into what's now the Premier League, and then retired at 50. And I think he said that he retired too early. And he was still playing. He was playing all over the world. He was one of the first players to go and do work in Africa. And he set up clubs over there. And I think he was still playing in Malta till he was about 65, 70. So incredible athlete. And I just, one of those things where I met him, but sort of, he used to come to a few games, particularly when we played Bolton and things like that. I mean, that loft house would walk the teams out. But yeah, I'd have loved to have seen him play.
Do you want me to answer first?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're from Bolton, you support Bolton, simple as that. I mean, what I would say is in an area like Bolton, which I actually don't live in anymore, but you have quite a few teams to choose from, because obviously there's quite a lot of teams in a very, very short area, small area, should I say. But yeah, I think you don't really have much as a choice. Don't get me wrong, as a kid, I had, Newcastle shirts, Liverpool shirts, all bits and pieces. But,
why, Colin? Why would you do that? If you're a Bolton fan, why would you do that?
Yeah, well, the Liverpool one was, I was obsessed with Robbie Fowler as a kid. Like, I was a centre forward as a young kid, and I just couldn't get over how he scored so many goals. So I had a Fowler, and I had Newcastle shirt with Shearer, and Bolton shirt with John McGinley. There's a theme here. There's goal scorers, aren't there? And obviously then, with Bolton, obviously being from Bolton, but my dad used to play for the Wanderers as well as in the youth setup, and there's a bit of a backstory with my family when it comes to Wanderers as well. What me great uncle Bert Cole was a scout for Bolton Wanderers, and he scouted the late great Nat Lofthouse
at Burnham Park. Yeah.
So my great uncle, my dad's uncle, was a scout, and he scouted Nat Lofthouse. So there's a bit of a story with that. Like Bert Cole is in Nat Lofthouse's book, and if for the Barnsley fans who don't know, Nat Lofthouse is one of England's greatest ever goal scorers. He's scored 30 goals in 33 appearances, I think. But he basically, long story short, he asked my great uncle but to buy him a push bike if he scored a hat trick on his Bolton debut, and he did. He scored 3 on his Bolton debut as an 18-year-old. So my dad's great uncle Bert had to buy him a push bike as a bet, if you will. And it's in his book, Nat Lofthouse's book. That you can go and check it out if you wish to do so. It's a true story, which is quite mad, isn't it, if you think about it? Like, with the way that 18-year-old footballers are these days, when it comes to playing at that level, which he was at the time for us in the 50s, we were winning FA Cups and all sorts. So he was effectively an 18-year-old Premier League footballer, and he wanted a push bike as a well done or whatever it might be, just so he can get to it, just so he can get to and from training and the coal mines as well, which he worked on at the time as an 18-year-old. So
that's absolutely an incredible story.
Yes, true story.
Fortunately, Tommy Taylor, our ex-Red, he went to Man United, didn't he, and lost his life at Munich disaster. So he'd be an England, striker. Winner, yeah, would have been, yeah,
it would have been.
But yeah, that's a story. That's me on my dad's side. That so the Bolton, even though like I said, Rangers shirts, Liverpool shirts.
Oh, Rangers as well now. It's getting worse.
Oh, also I had all sorts. I had a very privileged upbringing. I got whatever I wanted. So if I wanted a Les Ferdinand shirt or an Alan Shearer shirt,
choice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I can't. Fair weather, Al. Fair weather. I thought,
I think it all changed around 1995. Reading playoff final and Liverpool in the League Cup final as well. I think it all changed from then. But yeah, that's me. But
that's Chris. But you can't beat that, Chris, can you?
I can't follow that, can I?
No.
Although...
Get to go, Chris.
Drum roll.
Although there is a picture circulating on social media of me wearing a Manchester United top.
Wow.
I was 12. I was young. I was impressionable. But my family, it's funny actually, isn't it, Cole? Because we were only talking about this on the way to Peterborough on Saturday. My dad was more into his cricket and his snooker and things like that. He wasn't particularly football motivated. He didn't really follow the Wanderers. Nor did many in my family, even though we were born and raised in Bolton. Bit of a weird one. And ironically, my son, who I go to the match with, Sam, who's 18 now, Sam, named after Big Sam. I came home from work one day and Sandy, the missus, said, Sam's got something to tell you. I was like, oh, wait up. Something's going to come out here, some revelation. And he said, Dad, I want to support Man United. And Sandy to this day makes reference to that look on my face when he told me that. So
has Sam sorted himself out yet, Chris?
He has. He's a season ticket holder. He sits next to me and he goes to all the away games with me.
I met him at Oakwell when we played at Oakwell. I met him. He's even got a picture with Toby Tyke.
He has. Yeah, there is a picture doing the rounds with me, Colin, Sam, Toby Tyke. Great evening that. So, but it was, we talked about the first away game and with it being at Wembley, that was very much what got me invested and I've never looked back since. So, yeah.
I'll just say this. Is Sam likely to watch this?
Oh, aye.
Sam, I'm glad that you finally listened to your dad. You shouldn't. He's your dad. He gave you life. You shouldn't be putting him through that sort of stress. It's not right. It's not right. I'm glad you've grown out of it and you've sorted yourself out.
Yes.
Well done, Sam.
I started sporting Barnsley pretty late, really, because I come from a family that weren't really a football family. My dad's more darts and rugby and horse racing and stuff like that in my family. So Barnsley weren't the first team I actually ever supported. The first team I supported was Chelsea because I used to watch them on TV. Back in the days of Gianluca Vialli being the player manager, Gianfranco Zola, Dennis Wise, Frank Leboeuf. Because I'd not even realised that Barnsley had a football team at that time. I mean, they were only young. And then my cousin, he had a spare ticket because one of his friends couldn't go to a game. We're only young teenagers, and then so I went to my first ever home game, and from that day on, I've been a season ticket holder at Oakwell, just because I love the atmosphere and just everything to go along with the day. Just that feeling in the morning when you're going to kick off, and it's big game feelings and everything. I mean, the people that sit at home and watch these matches on telly just can't grasp what it's like the feeling of being in the stadium in big moments. And obviously with 2016 being the best season I've seen, with the likes of Sam Winnell and Lloyd Isgrove and Alfie Mawson and, going to Wembley twice and the memories that you'll never forget. Obviously I've got pictures that I often look at with me and my cousin, and I think about 4 or 5 of us went, and we were all there on bus and, getting all snacks, all energy drinks in bag and everything. And, and then that's why I support Barnsley, because there's no feeling like going to watch your local team play. And I don't think you could ever feel that feeling by watching one of bigger clubs, unless you travel to see them every week, which, You know, I don't think people in Barnsley have got the money to go down to London to watch Chelsea every week, so that was never going to happen for me. But yeah, from then on, I was a diehard Barnsley fan, and you know, I'd not want to. I couldn't watch a Leeds every week. I couldn't watch a Sheffield Wednesday or a Sheffield United. That just wouldn't happen. You know, so it's all thanks to my little cousin who took me along one day and introduced me to Oakwell. So yeah, that's why.
I supported Barnsley as a 5-year-old, 1959-60 season. Dad and Grandad, they didn't drive, so we were always going on bus into Barnsley. Grandma and my mum went shopping into Barnsley Market, and then Dad and Grandad walked me up and straight down.
Al, just stop. Just start again, because it had got me on top of the screen. Start now.
Start again. So
yeah.
You throw me.
Go on, get going now.
I started watching Barnsley as a 5-year-old in 1959-60 season. Dad and Grandad couldn't drive, and Mum and my grandma, we all used to go on a coach to Barnsley, bus to Barnsley, go and go around and do the shopping. And then my mum and my grandma would take the shopping back on bus, and Dad and Grandad took me to Oakwell down Belvedere Road. And when you first saw Oakwell, you know, you thought, wow, what's this as a young kid? And all I can remember, I think it was against Rotherham United, if I can remember, 0-0. And all I can remember, we're going on to brewery stand and probably not watching match as a 5-year-old, just running up and down, not wooden boards what were on stand, and playing with other lads and running around. And then it grew on you. We used to then go on, I think it was Borough's 99, and we'd go before match into Rainers in Arcade, up Arcade for pie and peas. And that was some place as a youngster. And then you'd go through, and it was Barnsley Feast Week as well. And that, what they had at Barnsley, it was immense. But now, I think first team, Hillhopper Brooks, Bettany Winstanley Howard, I can remember. And, you know, when I was about, 14, 15, I'd go down and wait by players' entrance. And I've pushed tea trolleys around Oakwell. I've sold programmes at bottom of Belvedere Road. And sold, what is it? Lottery tickets and scratch cards at back of the West Stand in my little booth. Yeah, I love it. It's a family. Oakwell is a family, and as I say, I won't do it any other way. And lots of years, hopefully, to come to still follow the Super Reds.
The reason why I'm a Barnsley fan is because my dad prefers long-term suffering, and decided to bring me along with it as well. So yeah, Granddad were a Barnsley fan, Dad's a Barnsley fan, and then I got dragged to, I think, my first game maybe 2000, 2002. Although, well, the first time I did see Barnsley was the 1997 promotion parade, at the ripe old age of 3 months old. I was dragged to that. And then first game would have been, it must have been early 2000s, because Kevin Betsy and Bruce Dyer scored in that game, and it's quite late on that we turned it around. So yeah, that's why, just because my dad just wants me to suffer long term in life, I think.
So the reason I support Barnsley is down to my dad, God rest his soul. When I was just a little girl, a very little girl, and my dad used to go out every Saturday, and I used to wonder where he went. And then I asked, and lo and behold, when I was 5, off he took me with my milk crate down the road so I could stand in the brewery end, but I had to stand on my milk crate because I couldn't see over the wall. So them were the days that you could take your milk crate into Oakwell. And age 5, that's what I did. A season later, I got a season ticket, and I haven't missed one since. So basically, the reason I support Barnsley is it's in my DNA, it's in my blood. The reason I don't support anybody else is because, is there anyone else to support? I don't think there is. I just would never, ever consider supporting anyone else. Man City are all right to watch now and again. I quite like their tiki-taka. But other than that, we've done enough of that this season. So no, I am red all over.
Well, why don't I support Liverpool or Man City? And why do I support Barnsley? Well, to be honest with you, I think Man City and Liverpool were dreadful when I first started watching Barnsley. I'm pretty sure City were playing in the same league and up against the likes of Gillingham and things like that. But reason why I support Barnsley, I basically bullied my mum into taking me. I used to watch Match of the Day on a Sunday morning before the cartoons started. And I just love football. So begged her and annoyed her into finally she took me to a game. She obviously picked a local side, so she picked Barnsley and boring 0-0 draw against Oxford were my first game, and I was hooked. That was the promotion season. Then we got a season ticket for the Premier League season, and I was a season ticket holder for years and years. And then I started going with my friends and made lots of friends while watching them. And now I take my two who asked me this question, and yeah, it's all about family and friends, and just love it. That's it.
The reason I support Barnsley is because they're like best team in the world, and whoever done can just like get out of here. If you do support Barnsley, I'll be really happy. The first time I went to a Barnsley match, I think it were in East Stand. It were against Fulham, I think, and that I just got held into football. My first actual season ticket was when we were in the Championship. It were in Ponty End. My first time when they scored the goal, my ears were like, sheesh. And it were really loud in there, but when I got used to it. I'm in the Ponty End now. And if once I'm a Barnsley fan, I'm always a Barnsley fan. And Barnsley, best team in the world. Let's see if we can get promotion next season. You Reds!
The first football match that I ever went to, and if I supported any other team, my dad would roundhouse kick me. Ever since I watched that game, I just didn't want to support, didn't want to support any other team. Barnsley was just the team.
It's been so nice to hear why throughout the season different fans of different clubs support their club, and indeed why some of ours, like your Craigs and your Tracys and your Allens and your Joshes, Toms, little Isaac, why they support their own clubs. It's been really, really nice to see the stories that's behind it. So I'm going to let you into a little secret to finish this off. I'm that 4-year-old boy who in 1958 first went to Barnsley on the Cop and had to sit on his dad's shoulders so he could actually see. I used to spend the second half not on his shoulders but on the barrier in front of him because his shoulders were aching that much. After a season and a half of doing that, he just said, I can't do this anymore. He were only little. I can't do this anymore. So he paid an extra threepence, and I mean threepence in old money, not threepence now, threepence in old money for us to sit in the upper seats, because the only seats in the West Stand, or at the time it were called the Stand. Could never understand that because it was the only place you could sit down were called the Stand. And now I know as a grown up it's because it was grandstand. So we sat there for many years. It's always been in my family, always been in our blood. My dad took me, as I say, when I was 4. His dad had taken him, and his dad had taken him. I've been so many times with my dad and his friend and my brother, and then after that, we took my son and my daughter, and then after that, my grandsons, my granddaughters, my nieces and nephews and what have you. All the family. We've had season tickets for many, many years. So it's ingrained. It's ingrained in us. I would like to say that if I chopped my hand off, it'd say Barnsley FC through it, like rock, but I'm not going to put it to the test. So all I would say is, for everybody that's been involved in the away end and in this particular question, why don't you support a good team like Manchester City, Liverpool, or even Barnsley? I do. I support Barnsley, a good team. Of course, no show looking at why we support the clubs that we support would be complete without the inclusion of the person who created the Red All Over show, firstly as a radio show in 2016 and then as a YouTube channel in 2020. I am, of course, talking about Joe Luke Beardsall. It's only fitting that he should have the final word on why he supports his club.
The reason I support Barnsley, it's an interesting one because, to be honest, I didn't really like football at all when I was young. I'm quite a big lad at school, so got put at net quite a bit. Weren't really my favourite sport, to be honest. But then I basically watched FA Cup final, and it was Liverpool West Ham, and it was that game where Steven Gerrard basically got them back into it. They went to win it. So you might be thinking, well, why don't you support Liverpool? Why don't you support a big team? Well, I've always been proud of Barnsley. I love the people. And off the back of that game, I said to my dad, I said, look, I want to go watch Barnsley because my granddad used to listen to Radio Sheffield when I used to go up to his, and he'd be listening to Barnsley games on that, so on wireless. So basically, I said, I want to go see Barnsley. We went to see them. They drew 2-2 with Southampton, and I just fell in love, absolutely fell in love with the place. I love my town and just supporting our local team. And the values that we have in Barnsley are hard work, grit. We work for everything. We're determined. We're passionate people. We look out for each other. We're a good community, and that's what I fell in love with, to be honest. As part of going to Oakwell, and doing Red All Over as well for many years. Just hanging out with you guys, chatting to you in the comments, seeing you at games, having a chat. It means the world to me, and that's why I'll continue to support until the day I die, because it's the fans that make it for me. And the friends that I've made over the years through that, from going when I was a teenager all the way through to now being 31, and will continue to go. It's you guys that make it, and that's what's special about Barnsley, the people.